Hey guys, this is Max Headspace 9mm, and I have been looking for ammo just like you have. And what I'm seeing is some really great opportunities. Now, I did a video about 2 years ago when ammo prices were rock bottom, lowest I'd seen in a long time. And I warned you that this was coming. I warned you that ammo prices were going to go up, and here we are. Nobody knew what was right around the corner at the time I made that video. I will provide a link to that video in the description of this video. But I can tell you this, ammo is an investment, and I made another video where I claimed that very same thing. If you had bought ammo 2 years ago, you would see your investment increase in value faster than the stock market, by far, faster than gold, faster than a lot of things. So, and there are people who bought when it was really cheap and are selling it right now at a profit. Some gun store owners actually do that. So here's the thing. Right now, you can get deals. You can get good deals on ammo that is really kind of underserved and understood in the gun community. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. Right now, the main reason for this huge demand for ammunition is the fact that there are a lot of brand new gun owners, first-time gun purchasers. And of course, everybody seems to want the 9mm, everybody wants an AR-15, and so those are the two rounds that are in the most demand right now. If you are fortunate enough or smart enough to have invested in an AK-47 type weapon, or even an AK-74, you're looking great right now because your ammo prices haven't changed much at all. And they're actually fairly easy to find. What other things? Well, I'm seeing a lot of 40. Really, the price hasn't gone up on that very much. I just happen to have saved one of my 40 caliber pistols, and I'm really glad I did because I got a ton of ammo for it, and I'm not going to run out anytime soon, even if they stop making it. Well, here's the thing. There's something that I think a lot of people in the gun community might want to consider. You know, a lot of people are focusing a lot on their sidearm and a rifle. So basically you got a 9mm pistol most likely and an AR-15 which shoots .223 or .557. Those are the rounds that are hard to find. For the most part, a lot of the American manufacturers that create those rounds are putting all their efforts into supplying that huge demand because the markup is so high on it right now. So, why don't you consider, if you are prepping, if you're preparing for the worst, why don't you consider another tactic? I have loved for the longest time 308. Now, hear me out. 308 is a really good round to own, a rifle in that caliber, and to stockpile right now. The difference in price, and I know these are both steel case, Russian made, they are not, you know, something that's been sitting in a bunker for the last 50 years. This is brand new manufacture. There's no corrosive primers in these. It is steel case though. The difference in price between these, and they both contain 20 rounds of ammunition. This one, the projectile, weighs roughly almost 3 times as much as this one. It's a 30 caliber, whereas this is a 22 caliber. And the interesting thing to consider about that is the velocity of this one is not much slower than the velocity of this one. So when you look at the energy they produce, you realize you're actually getting a round that is nearly 3 times as potent with the 308 as you are with the 223. What does that mean? Well, you're going to be able to hit through you know, barricades, barriers, behind cover, armor that can be defeated with this. This will go right through. So, yeah, 308 is kind of the ammunition for a battle rifle. And a battle rifle is longer range, and if you have been in the military, you know that the person equipped with a 308 rifle, they pretty much ruled the battlefield. 308 was king. and I'll show you why. Okay, so here's your 223, and here is your 308. That's a lot bigger. It's a very heavy projectile. And you might be asking, well, yeah, but it's heavy to carry around too. Well, the difference between a civilian and a militant is a militant usually has to travel a great distance carrying their gear on their back. Most of us, we're just protecting our homes and our communities, if it should come to that. So you might want to consider this, because it's actually a lot more sensible for most people with that preparation in mind. So I'm going to talk about 308s today. I have two 308 battle rifles, and they are really not unmanageable at all. They don't push back really much harder at all than an AR-15 that shoots 223. The first one I want to show you was my first. This is a DPMS. This rifle looks really big, and that's mostly just because of the camera. But really, I brought with me a lower receiver from a regular AR-15. And if you do some quick measuring, this receiver of the 308 is not much bigger. It's about, I would say, close to an inch longer than this one. The buttstock and the barrel are the same length. This has a 16.5-inch carbine length barrel in it. Glacier guard, everything is the same as an AR-15. It's a heavy barrel, but it's a sweet shooter. It's really easy and manageable to shoot. You'll notice, of course, they do have a different size mag well. You know, obviously you cannot use an AR-15 receiver for 308. This is basically considered an AR-10 platform. AR-10 is a 308 platform that is like an AR-15. It has a bigger bolt carrier. It looks exactly like the AR-15 bolt carrier. It's just scaled up for the larger round. It is a stoner design. And, you know, these are not that expensive, especially right now. You could probably pick up an AR-10 for about the same price as an AR-15. This one cost me about $700 when I bought it. And I don't see them everywhere right now, but I know you can get them. I actually have seen them on Gun Broker. There's lots and lots of options out there if you really want to look. You want to do the effort. Now, most of the magazines which fire the 308 round have a 20 or 25 round capacity. So you're diminished a little bit with that. But there is drums. This is an X Products drum. And there you go. As much ammo as you could possibly want. And this drum is considerably smaller than an AK drum. So it is a little costly, but they are available. You can buy them. I don't think there's really any waiting for them right now. And I did a video review of this drum. And I will provide a link in the description of this video to that review. So this is an incredible setup. It's not that expensive to get into. And if you want that, you would be prepared for anything. Honestly, when I'm carrying this, and I've done a little bit of hiking with it, the only time I notice that it's really any heavier than most of my AR-15s is when I have that drum in it. If I have a regular standard capacity 20 or 25 round stick mag, it feels about the same as an AR-15, and it's about the same size. So consider an AR-10 in 308. You will thank me if you do, because shooting 308 is actually a lot of fun. And ammo is reasonable right now. So you'll remember I was telling you about prices. Just today, for the sake of this video, I bought a box of each of these. I'll turn this around. A box of each of these. This one was $8.50. This one was $12.95. And so, if you consider the fact that this one has about 3 times as much of what it is that a bullet is supposed to be able to do, but it is not anywhere near 3 times the cost of this, you start realizing the value and economy of 308. If you are in it for the long haul, and if you're prepping, then you just might want to consider what I'm talking about. Now, in the interim, I love this gun, and once I got this, I stopped looking for a 308 option because I know this solves all of my issues. I am super happy with it. I have never had a jam, I've never had a malfunction, I've never had anything but perfect service with this gun. So why would I want anything else? Well, I love the 308 round. And one day, I happened to be going into my local gun store, and I saw this gun right here. This is a Kel Tec, and RFB. Something forward ejecting bullpup is what it's called. And I'd been looking at these since they first came out about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. This was a very anticipated gun. And it came with mixed reviews. And I'll tell you something, I've fired a few Kel Tecs before. This one is insane. It is built like a tank. It's a little heavy. It probably weighs every bit as much as that carbine I just showed you, if not even more. It has an 18.5-inch barrel, so 18.5, something like that. Some of the details are a little fuzzy on me, but it uses these 20-round mags. It is completely ambidextrous, so here is your mag release, and you have on both sides of the gun, you have a bolt release. So magazine release, bolt release, completely ambidextrous. You have ambidextrous safety. You can use it with either hand. But the charging handle can only be on one side at a time, though I believe it is reversible. I keep it on the left because that's where I like it. And it is not reciprocating with the bolt. It ejects out of right here. So when you're shooting this, the cases travel up a track in the top of this gun, just above the barrel, and they wind up just coming right out of this port right here, and they fall to the ground. And this is a threaded barrel. It's threaded right here. You can get a quad rail that screws right onto here, and it has a little chute that allows those cases to trickle out to the ground. And it takes a little getting used to, I will tell you that. First few times I took this out shooting, you know, you're just used to things like your cases flipping out to the side, you know, and hearing them hit the ground, even with Ear Pro on. And the weird thing about this gun is it just didn't happen. I heard nothing for a while, and then I started hearing them fall in front of me. So it takes a while for all those cases to kind of create a traffic jam in here until the lead one finally falls out on the end. It's a really weird gun. It takes a little getting used to, but it's pretty awesome. And I got to tell you, this has been 100% reliable for me as well. This loves the 308 round. It is very, very accurate out to long ranges. It's great for suppressor. And I got to tell you a little story about it as well. So the reason I got this, yeah, I'd been looking for a long time. I always thought, oh, that sounds like a great idea. But I generally do not like bullpups at all. I don't think the advantages they give you are worth some of the drawbacks. I don't like the manual of arms generally. Replacing mags back here is just not as comfortable as out where you can see what you're doing better. I don't like the triggers. Bullpups have notoriously mushy, disconnected triggers that don't feel right. And the thing that made me get the two bullpups that I own. I have a P90 and this. P90 trigger is pretty horrible. It's a typical bullpup trigger. But this has an amazing trigger. I've never seen a bullpup with such a good trigger before. It's really, really a good trigger. Now, the only drawback with this gun is checking your chamber is a little awkward. That's how you do it. And I would say if there's one thing I don't like about it, it's that. But it's not the end of the world. So here's the trigger. I'm going to see if I can show you what I like about it. You have an instant wall. There's no take up. It pulls back with about, I don't know, 5 pounds of pressure. It stacks just a little bit. Whoops. Sorry. And it is crisp. It is a really nice trigger. And you've got a click and a tiny, tiny reset, the smallest reset of any trigger I've ever seen. So, yes, this trigger is on a bullpup, and yes, this is one of the best triggers on any gun I own. It is amazing, and I have guns with competition triggers, and this is a fantastic trigger. So, okay, the story. Here's the story about how I came to get this. I wasn't shopping for it, I didn't want it, but I saw it in a gun case used for $700 bucks. Now I know brand new these things went for about $1,700, $1,800. And I thought, man, that's amazing, it looks in great shape. I asked to see it, I examined it. It looked like it had never been fired. Maybe just a magazine through it is about it. In pristine condition. I took it apart, I really looked it over good. Everything just seemed to work, everything looked like it was there. And I asked the gun store owner, because I was a little suspicious because it was so cheap. He saw me looking at it, he came out with his calculator and started punching numbers. He wound up coming down to $600 for this gun. And I know that this muzzle brake alone is over $100, and that's an add-on after factory. And so I asked him, why is it in here for this price? And he said, oh, the guy that brought it in sold it really cheap because it doesn't work. And I started thinking, because I know enough about this gun to know it has a gas adjuster on it that has a lot of positions. I can't even remember how many positions, like 30 or something? The most positions on any gas adjuster of any piston gun that I've ever seen in my life. I think this wins the record. And a lot of people struggle with that. If you don't get that gas adjusted right, then you're going to have a gun that's going to malfunction and it's going to run terrible and you're going to think it's a terrible gun. I knew that much about it. I was willing to take a chance, and this is a great gun for suppressor because it is only 26 inches long. It's very small, but it has a long barrel. And of course the gases come out way ahead of where your face is. So it's a perfect suppressor gun. And 308 runs really well suppressed. So I took a chance on it. I took it out, and within a couple of shots I had the gas dialed in perfectly, and it has not failed me a single time, and I've probably put 1,000 rounds through it. This is one of the most fun 308 rifles, one of the most fun rifles, period, that I own. It's got everything. When you sling this up, it is comfortable. It is small. You could hike around all day with this thing. It's you can squat down and pick things up off the ground. It doesn't drag. It's just an amazing gun. It handles like a regular carbine AR-15, you know, much smaller gun, but it shoots like a great big Mack truck. So consider 308. If you get into 308, I'm pretty sure you won't regret it. The 308 round was designed by the US military to supersede some of the older cartridges like the 30-06. The 30-06 in World War I was a sniper's cartridge. My grandpa carried a rifle that fired a 30-06. And it's an old cartridge. Military wanted something just a little smaller with modern propellants that would do the same thing. And they came up with the 308. So it's a heavy hitting cartridge. You can hunt with it. You can hunt large game. And it will defeat a lot of barriers and layers to get to its intended target. So this is Max Headspace 9mm. Consider the 308 and have a good one.